Getting this book does not simply involve just picking them up from the bookshelf or the bookstore, but it involves a series of actions that form a book supply chain. To give our audience a background of the situations of the book supply in each country, I would like to have Dr. Vincent. Can you briefly share with us the context or situation of the book supply in Rwanda?
Thank you very much. Actually, the book supply in Rwanda is related to the number of students. Actually, it is the Ministry of Education that is in charge of producing books, and then through the Rwanda Education Board. And the context that Rwanda has made a significant progress toward education for all. And currently, the enrollment rate in primary schools is at 95%. However, there has been some challenges, including the persistent book shortages due to a continual growth in the student age population and enrollment, the changes in the language of instruction from French and Kinyarwanda to English. And then there has been also the shift from knowledge-based to competence-based curriculum. And all of those changes involve the various implications for book availability in schools. And then it has affected the book supply chain in general. And to deal with that challenge of book shortage, there has been a synergy of multilateral partners in title development and promoting book use for learners in primary schools. And then the partnership contributes to the achievement of one-to-one pupil to textbook creation in lower primary in Kinyarwanda and in English subjects, and even the ratio of 2-to-1 in mathematics. In general, we have those books in primary school, and especially in lower primary school are there, and different actors are contributing a lot, being the public and the private actors, local publishers, and the various development partners. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vincent, for providing the context related to book supply in Rwanda. Seems like the problems also related to the changes in language from French and Rwanda to English, but seems like there's also ongoing efforts to mitigate such problem. But moving on to Cambodia, how's the situation in Cambodia related to book supply chain? Does the government provide free books, whether it's textbook or books in general, to every student? Would you mind sharing us about the book supply situation in Cambodia, Dr. Supet?
Thank you for the question. I think very similar situation to Rwanda. Cambodia have achieved, I think, universal education or primary education now, because already the net enrollment at primary school level is around 93%. So it's more like almost every kids now are in primary schools. And in the whole country, we have almost 10,000 schools and about 3 million students. This cover from primary to high schools. And however, there are still persisting issues like high dropout rates at a higher level, at secondary school level, not as much in the primary school level, but we also have issue. Study have found, persisting issue in learning outcomes. The student learning outcomes are still very low, and there are still shortages of textbooks. So in recent years, the government has adopted a new technology application, which I will talk about later, and it has improved the distribution, the supply to school all over the countries, to more than 3 million students all over the countries at all levels. But before such improvement, there are a lot of shortage, and the issue has been found mainly in the difficulty in getting the correct number of demands or needs of school textbooks from students. It takes a lot of times to do paperwork because it has to pass from one level to another levels, 3 to 5 stops before the paper reached to the Ministry of Education. And then, the number recorded in the papers also has a lot of mistakes. It needs confirmations and a lot of time to input it into computer systems. So it takes more than 6 months just to process the numbers of textbooks demand. So often it takes more than a year. When school send the data of textbook demands, and then until they get the textbooks delivered to their schools. And in a lot of cases, there are also issues like, books damages, wrong titles, different numbers because of these poor handling of textbook data. So this is, of course, the main issues in several years ago. But since 2020, when the government adopted a new technology applications called Track and Trace, this is a digital application to manage textbook supply in the whole country of Cambodia that I have raised was much improved. And yes, that's the situation of textbook supply so far in Cambodia. And I will stop now.
Thank you, Dr. Supir. Now over to Marian from Honduras. Let us hear what's the book supply situation look like in Honduras.
Thanks, Shiri. Well, until recently, say a decade ago, book supply chain in Honduras was frequently viewed by the Ministry of Education staff as a problem limit to acquisitions, neglecting the other stages of the book supply chain, including planning and forecasting, title development, publishing and printing, distribution management, and active use. And well, indeed, textbooks in Honduras are not nationally produced, but rather purchased abroad. And there are different reasons for that. Firstly, there's not a national budget provision dedicated to textbooks, making textbooks usually being funded through aid programs, which to some extent make it difficult to forecasting and securing their provision in a regular basis. And related to that, the Ministry of Education lack the organizational units fully dedicated to carry out the task related to the different stages of the book supply chain. And there is also a high turnover of technical staff at the Ministry of Education. So this factor combined relates to a second challenge, which is the lack of trained personnel in these topics. Now, in other words, probably different from Cambodia and Rwanda, in Honduras just a few years ago, the Ministry of Education acknowledged the need for working through the 6 different stages of the book supply chain. So all efforts are being focused on training the staff and providing technical assistance that helps the ministry to advance in setting internal process to secure books provision at schools.
Thank you so much, Dr. Marian. That's great to know. Like, I didn't even know that in Honduras, you need to import the textbooks from abroad, and there's no national budget and team to work on this, which is quite different from Cambodia and Rwanda. But just want to hear quickly from back to Rwanda case where Dr. Vincent quickly mentioned that there's a quite strong partnership going on between different partners, which is, I believe, which is also the main focus of the case that the Liberals Rwanda study or investigate on. Vincent, would you mind sharing with us what are the main findings from that study?
Thank you very much. Actually, as I said, the challenge was the shortage of books in schools. And then that's why this study has been conducted to study, to examine the formation, successes, and challenges of this partnership with the purpose to generate future policies and programming sites in Rwanda and globally. Of course, the objective was to see how that partnership, as I said, that there has been a need of partners to work and to establish a paradigm shift toward the locally driven initiative to solve this problem of the book shortage. And then this has been the findings of the study have shown that the USAID has played a very, very pivotal role to establish this locally initiative of producing books. So the initiative, they fostered the collaboration involving several actors with diverse expertise to create and distribute books resonating with local values and traditions. And then also, we have seen that the partnership has involved many people, many actors, including government agencies, development partners, the private sector, schools, and the local communities. Those partners, they operate into different or through different platforms like Education Sector Working Group and One Education NGO Coordination Platform. All of those platforms are coordinated by the Ministry of Education to ensure that there is alignment with national education policy and strategies. When it comes to the book production and title development, now the Rwanda Education Board is there to collaborate in developing those books and distributing them across the schools. Also from the finding of the study, we have seen that there has been a pivotal the partnership has been has played a pivotal role in enhancing Rwanda's book supply chain, particularly in title development, in book use, by training local writers and publishers to produce inclusive stories reflecting the Rwandan culture, fostering a reading culture among learners. There has been also the establishment of over 30 local children book publishers operating in a platform called the Rwanda Children Books Organization. The partnership also features strong coordination, mutual complementarity, joint action, and the alignment with national education priorities. The perceived impact also has been analyzed in this research, and has been realized that there's been several improvements in different sectors in different ways, like in producing both quality and quantity books, in accessibility of learners and teachers to books, book management at the school, and even the community libraries. There's been an increase in parental engagement to support learners, because even when it comes to book production and use, also the community and parents are involved. And then there's been an investment in books for children with disability, and even the enhanced book use and reading culture. In general, that is the main findings and achievements that have been created by this partnership of different actors in education. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Vincent. If I were to summarize, if we look at the different stage in the book supply chain, this multilateral partnership from the Liberals Rwanda case study somehow touch upon very importantly on the title development stage, with different partners having different expertise help their ministry to develop title for different textbook title for the students. But beyond that, this multilateral partnership also try to create collaborative or a meaningful active use at the community level, where they have promoting reading culture at the school or even at the community level, which is very, very good things to learn from. I wonder, how about the track and trace case in Cambodia? How has this track and trace or TNT have to improve their book supply chain, or what would be the main finding from the Liberals Cambodia case?
Yes, in our investigation, how the book supply chain has changes or has improved in terms of effectiveness and efficiencies in getting books from ministries to schools. I say ministry because in Cambodia, I mean, textbooks are produced by Ministry of Education, or of course approved by Ministry of Education, and ministry affiliated PDH. It is what we call publishing and distribution house, is the only agency that produce and distribute the book to the whole country. So how has TNT has changes the book supply chain in Cambodia from the issue that I've mentioned about forecasting and planning of textbook demands until delivery to the school. What we see is that TNT has saved times and resources, mainly because it reduced the administrative task needed to perform textbook demand. For example, as I mentioned earlier, in the traditional approach, in the paperwork model, textbooks demand and requests have to go through different stations, from schools to district's office, from district office to province. So the office, we call it come to the ministry or to the printing house. Now with TNT, because it is a digital application that is operated by PDH, the printing and the publishing and distribution house, the schools all over the country, there are almost 10,000 schools, send book data, book requests directly from, to the printing house. So it cut across all, the different stations that is needed. So it used to take more than as I say, almost 6 months just to have a consolidated data sheet of book demands. Now it takes a week or two to have all the books data of the whole countries. And it does not need many people to involve to send document from one place to another place. So it also saves money. That's one thing. And another thing that TNT has been played out very well is that now, through our survey with 1,000 schools across the country, as well as our conversation with more than 30 stakeholders at different levels, from school to district to provinces to development partners and official at ministry level, there were, consistent confirmation that schools can get the textbooks before the academic year started. So this is timely distribution of textbook to school, and also the accuracy of textbooks sent to them. They got their order right. What they order comes in accuracy, correct number to school. So the timely and accuracy of book distribution has been improved. And just one last thing about the good thing about of TNT is that it's also improved transparency and accountability, because more people are able to see textbooks data, to school are able to track the status of their order. For example, they know when their book are distributed to them, and so after they make the book request. So the school director have the informations, and then the community, the parents who are members of the school in Cambodia, we call school support committees. These committees are made up of student parents and individuals in the community. These committees are also can do spot check, and they also access to information of the book supply to their schools. So at community level, people to have access to these informations. They know how many textbooks the school have requested and how many they have received. And also at the central level, different department of the ministry are also able to view the dashboard that comes out of the systems, and they see whether the school of the whole country have received the book they requested. Or when there is an issue, school directors or the community can post this kind of inquiries to the relevant authorities. So this kind of interaction will greatly improve transparency and accountability of book distribution in Cambodia.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Dr.
Owen.
Sapir, for sharing the findings from the Liberals Cambodia case, which focuses on track and trace. Now, I would like to move on to Dr. Marian's, which I believe it's related to the capacity developments of their stakeholders in the textbook supply chain, which before it's not even existed, but then the new initiative from the government that it's time to start. Would you mind sharing us a little bit more on the findings on this case that Honduras team investigated?
Sure. Well, actually, as you mentioned, the country-specific focus of the study in Honduras was the development of national capacities for improving book supply chain. And to examine capacity improvements, we look at two USAID programs and one program supported by the Japan International Cooperation Agency, which built capacities in the Ministry of Education staff. And additionally, it was examining a private nonprofit educational institution. So the projects were the USAID project Avancemos con Libros, or Advancement Through Books, which was intentionally directed to improve the book supply chain in Honduras. And the second USAID project was the Lectores a Líderes, or Readers to Leaders, aimed at improving curriculum and teachers' training in literacy. And the third project, called Prometan, supported by the Japanese, was directed to improve math teaching, and it was particularly focused on book active use. These three programs included textbooks with donors assuming part of the tasks related to the book supply chain. And finally, 𝐸R, a non-private organization and the only institution in Honduras that covers all the 6 phases of the book supply chain, and who from time to time supplies the Ministry of Education with school materials. Now, the review of this experience allow us to identify strengths, successful success stories, and experience that did not produce the desired results. So we identify that the best results from the last decades is an achievement advancement through books project, and that is changing the perspective of the Ministry of Education staff toward the book supply chain. So the conventional wisdom was that textbook was a purchasing problem that could be solved simply by buying them. And the project Advancing with Books worked with the ministry staff, first at the national level, then at the local level, to change that perspective. And as a result of this effort, after a diagnostic phase, a manual was created that is an official Ministry of Education document on the production of educational materials. So this manual now reflects an understanding of a multi-phase supply chain and has been used by other projects to train staff on the different stages of the book supply chain. A second major finding of the books or the libros studies in Honduras is that all the 4 strategies examined apply a learning by doing approach to train key staff at the Ministry of Education, and with the ministry gradually assuming responsibilities within the book supply chain. So this was done by guiding the staff in building their own book supply management policy and manuals, and by training and progressively involving the staff at different tasks of all the 6 stages of the book supply chain. While there is some progress in building capacities to Ministry of Education towards an effective books supply chain management, securing annual budget provision for textbook remain the missing puzzle piece. And as a team, we also learn the importance of democratizing evidence on the progress in textbooks provision to key education stakeholders to help them to take command of and responsibility of this issue. So for instance, as part of Libros study, it was organized the book advisory board in Honduras, and one of the members, Mario 𝐿, who is also a congressman, introduced in 2022 a draft legislative decree to organize book supply chain units at the Ministry of Education and allocate annual funding for textbook at the national budget. A final reflection about the findings is that a tailored system that promotes active learning is key to improving capacities and empowerment of the staff responsible for primary textbook provision. And this condition is necessary, but not sufficient to solve book shortage. So organizational adaptation and supportive implementation conditions such as enabling policies and the adequate budget are also important.
Thank you so much, Dr. Marian. It's such a very comprehensive explanation, and it's great to hear that there's initiative, and it's even put in the legislation by the government. It's a very practical one. Now it's come to the last but a very important questions for each of the country. Each country has their own main finding that touch upon different stage of the book supply chain. Now, I would start with Rwanda. Dr. Vincent, if you were to give some recommendation or the key takeaway for Honduras or Cambodia, what would be the key lesson learned or the key takeaway that Honduras and Cambodia should take from the findings from Libros Rwanda?
Thank you very much. Actually, as we have seen, the multilateral partnership has had very good success, and that we can share to other countries to adopt. I can summarize like 4 recommendations that can suggest to other countries. First of all, it is to aligning with educational priorities and embracing technology. See here, partnership should align with the effort with national education priorities to ensure that the titles that are produced align with the country's learning objectives. Otherwise, if without using the local or the other specialty, okay, by using the local or other specialists, without the coordination of the Ministry of Education, it may lead to the production of books which are not relevant. The second one is to establish a central coordination mechanism. As we have seen here in Rwanda, the Ministry of Education is playing a leadership in coordinating all the activities, all the projects of partners. So other countries like Honduras, like Cambodia, could consider establishing a central coordination body, like Rwanda's Education Sector Working Group, to harmonize efforts across the country. Another recommendation can be to leverage diverse partnerships. Actually, Rwanda partnership could the different characters like government agencies, international NGOs, said as development partners, local communities, and private sector. So it is very recommended or good to engage diverse partners to leverage varied expertise and resources for title creation and use, because you cannot rely on the local expert only. You also need to rely to get profit of the expertise of other international stakeholders. And the fourth and last recommendation can be to integrate local content and capacity building. Here, Rwanda prioritizes the local content development, offering training and capacity development of local authors, illustrators, and publishers. So, partnership in other countries could also prioritize books reflecting their culture, value, and language. This is because sometimes it may happen that when there are some textbook, you may copy or you may use a textbook or a storybook which reflect another country's culture. And then it will be very difficult to the learners to apply that because it is not in their context. So it is very important that using local authors, local publishers is a good recommendation so that you don't go out of the context or the culture of the country. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vincent. And I think it's quite very relevant, especially to the Honduras case, because now they're trying to build the capacity of the stakeholder across different stages of the book supply chain. Maybe Honduras can learn from how Rwanda strengthened their partnership and improve each step of those book supply chain as well. I think maybe Marian can share what would be the lesson learned and key takeaway that Rwanda and Cambodia can also learn from Honduras.
Oh, yes. So I think being just setting an internal process to manage the book supply chain in Honduras, we can learn a lot from Rwanda and Cambodia that have gained experience over the year on book provision by taking control of the different stages of the book supply chain and producing it nationally. Definitely from Cambodia, we can take this experience of important advancements by working in collaborative articulation with different stakeholders. We have tried to do so at different moments, but definitely it's not an easy task. It needs a lot of political willingness, and definitely in Cambodia, there is a strong political willingness to do so. Now, in Rwanda. In Cambodia government, I think the track and trace system is a very good example of how to connect with technology and use technology to better control the whole process of the book supply chain from planning and forecasting to supervising the active use of books. And I think this is probably a very good way to start thinking on how to supervise the different stages of the book supply chain. So definitely we can start thinking on how to take some of this information and this experience to improve our own process in Honduras.
Thank you so much, Dr. Marie. And now, last but not least, it's from Cambodia. As you already know from Rwanda and from Honduras, in terms of forecasting, these two countries may be a little bit quite still in a younger age, but in Cambodia, we have quite a lot of experience. And of course, with experience, there's also come issue, but with the help of track and trace, now those issues have been mitigating or been solved quite in a significant manner. Now, Dr. Sophia, would you mind sharing us what would be the main lesson learned for Honduras and Rwanda if they are to adapt track and trace letter for their book supply chain, especially in terms of forecasting and planning, or maybe the adoption of track and trace in general to help managing the book supply chain in their country?
Well, changes is always difficult. Yeah, especially in government system, it really needs, like Maria mentioned, political will and support. And in terms of technology, it really needs acceptance from the users. So change difficult and take times. But surprisingly, in just, I would say, short periods, is just a few years, TNT, the track and trace digital system, able to be applied for the whole country, such a large-scale adaptations, and based on the results in the past few years, after these applications being used the whole country, we see such improvement as I mentioned earlier. So let's call this kind of an improvement, or maybe a success of changes that has happened. And of course, what leads to such a success, and what can be learned from these? I think similar to what Vincent from in Rwanda case has mentioned, the alignment with government priorities, the alignment with the ministry priorities. Track and trace, this digital application happened in time when the Ministry of Education see a solution in technology. Of course, COVID has come, but there are also changes and advancement in technology. education technology, and Cambodia Ministry of Education are very keen in adopting technologies to solve issues in education. So you have to support is there. And in Cambodia, as I say, because we are a small country and the education system are very still quite centralized. So when you have the support at the ministry level, it's kind of kind of predict your success as well. That's number one, the alignment with ministry or higher level priorities. And then there are some technical factors at the implementations of TNT that one thing that we see as contributing to the success of TNT is training and updates. You see, it's new stuff, right? Technology, and remember, it needs a new type of training. It needs a lot of large scale training in terms of technology, or what we call digital literacy. People have to accept it. People, users, the school director all over the country, wherever they are, even in remote areas, in mountainous areas, they accept the new technology and they know how to use it. Only then they can adopt it. So a lot of training, a lot of through different means, in persons, online, short video clips, just for the purpose of training and introduction to the new technologies. That number two. And the other one is that I think the technology and infrastructure, right? Because it depends a lot on electricity, on internet connection, and of course, digital device, smart device, because it is run on application. So only what I say, the access to technology is already there. Adapting these new digital applications make sense. In Cambodia, there is a wide, large access of a smart device as well as internet connections, and there is a very common, people everywhere from ministry level to village level use a common applications, and then you just call Telegram, of course. It's a texting application, social media applications. So you just build on such a kind of widespread use application, and then things will work out. So build on an existing widespread technology is another lessons we learned. Yes, and one important thing is that make sure this new application can run in local language. Yeah, this is very important. Often, application coming from other country, and likely it comes in English, so it need to be localized into local language, because this has to be used by people not only in the cities but everywhere in the countries, in remote and mountainous area where English is not a common language. Yeah, so we got to make sure that these applications are fully localized to the local context, to the local language. I think that's another lessons we learned from our study. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Supir. So if I were to summarize, providing high-quality books to children require a robust and efficient book supply chain. Like that, in each of the steps, there's different stakeholder in theirs. And the global success or the success of the strategy hinges on having long-term visions and communicate those visions and alignment with the government priority, have clear strategic planning, especially also the government commitment alongside the coordinated support and the collaborations from different partners, not just collaboration collaboration alone, but from like Dr. Marian said, it's also providing capacity developments for them along the way. So I think this would sum up our takeaway from the street study. And thank you so much for your time and joining us in this Libra podcast series.